there's a very interesting name that is possibly being rumored to come with the Chicago Bears. I have heard this from a few people. We also heard it from Carmen Vitale over on CHGO. And the Chicago Bears may have an opportunity to go after Hank Fraley, the current offensive line coach of the Detroit Lions, and possibly cripple the Lions just a little bit more. Now, this is interesting because from what Carmen Vitale is saying, she is hearing that this is probably the expected thing that is going to happen. This is probably where you see the coaching search go for filling out the offensive side of the coordinators. And here's my thing on why this is important. Here's my thing on why this is huge. If the Chicago Bears are able to pull this off, not only are you taking somebody from your divisional rival, not only are you going out there and getting an asset from the Detroit Lions, another asset from the Detroit Lions, you're also now going out there and getting somebody who can seriously help you. Because if you do go out there and get a guy like Hank Fraley, you're now putting yourself in a position to bring in somebody who knows what an offensive lineman looks like. Yes, Baki, it is also huge because Chris Morgan would be gone. Chris Morgan has survived quite a bit here in Chicago. Chris Morgan has become Bears Don Cooper, has he not? Chris Morgan has become like Bears Don Cooper. He just keeps surviving. Just keeps finding a way to get to the other side. But in my mind, a guy like Hank Fraley is the exact type of coach that you're looking to add to this team. He's somebody who understands blocking schemes in a way that I think really is an asset to the Chicago Bears. That for me, if you're talking about going out there and replacing 4 offensive linemen, you're not going to do it. It's not realistic. I'm ready to move on from Braxton Jones. Realistically, my expectation is he probably ends up still on this team in some capacity. I think you're not going to re-sign Tevin Jenkins, but you may have to, because I don't think you're going to be able to address everything on this offensive line. My point being that you're going to draft somewhere and need to sign guys somewhere else. If that is the case, that means that you're going to need to have a blocking scheme in place that accentuates what some of these other guys might not do as well. That is going to hide some of the deficiencies that your offensive line has had. And have we not seen the Detroit Lions be able to do that fairly consistently? While yes, they do have all pros throughout that line. They do have elite players on that line as well. I think you also have to look at the fact that that offensive line, when some of those guys are banged up, does not lose a step, does not lose a beat. Some of the pre-snap motion that Ben Johnson will put into place will help with that as well. But for me, going out and getting a guy like Hank Fraley, who is an offensive coordinator, he will have to come here and be the offensive coordinator. For me, though, you bring him in because, number one, he's going to be able to take some of these guys that you haven't developed over the last 3 years. And if it is still a Matt Pryor, if it is still a Braxton Jones, if it is still a Tevin Jenkins who's been banged up, maybe be able to hide some of those pieces that have been banged up, maybe be able to hide some of those pieces that have not been able to live up to what we've expected from the Chicago Bears offensive line. And you fill in the positions where you can with the best talent available. But like I said, there's not going to be this elite situation where you are going to find 4 offensive linemen that are all going to be amazing in one offseason. I want the guy that's going to be able to go out there and put guys in the right position. On the other side of this thing, and what is just as important, is I also want the guy when the chips are down, when things are tough, when you're bringing pieces in, when you've got pieces that weren't yours that are already on this team, who can develop those guys. You want to know what we can say about that Detroit Lions offensive line? That Detroit Lions offensive line has answers. That Detroit offensive line took rookies who were really good rookies, but turned them into really good players that continued to progress throughout their careers. Hank Fraley is a major part of that. If you can get him out of Detroit, I think it hurts Detroit just a little bit more. You're taking another major piece off of that offensive line, somebody that I think the Detroit Lions would hate to see leave, but also somebody who now can help you. And on top of that, I think you're giving your team the best opportunity to go out there and develop pieces, be able to put pieces in the right position, and to be able to get the most out of the offensive linemen that you're going to have on this team. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page, leave that 5-star review. Y'all know what to do. Shout out to you guys in the chat as well. I love the fact that we've got the hire of Ben Johnson, but I also love the fact that we can take more, because first things first, the Detroit Lions fans are in shambles right now. Detroit Lions fans are in shambles right now. They don't know where to go. They don't know where to go. They're in the chat right now. Shout out to the Lions fans in the chat. I see you. They don't know what's going on. You went from, I love how Shay Norling said this today. I was on ESPN 1000 from 10 to 12 today with Shay Norling. I love how he said this today. I love how he said this today. A week and a half ago, Lions fans would drink the bathwater that Ben Johnson was in. They would have told you he was a god. We saw it right here in this chat. All right? You had Lions fans in the chat. Don Burt in the chat. You're not getting Ben Johnson. He's not going to want to come to a divisional opponent. Why would he want to turn his back on us? Blah, 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 blah. And remember, I said, listen, y'all already know I'm big F Detroit. So I was like, if he comes here, it'll be great to see. But, you know, you guys had a great run with him. He only gave you the top offenses in the NFL. Look at him now. Look at how they've turned on Ben Johnson. I'm hearing everything from Benedict Arnold to Osama bin Laden. Look at how they turned their back on the man that gave them that beloved offense for so long. I love it. I love that we have destroyed everything that Detroit thought they had. I love that we are destroying Detroit fan bases and that they're in shambles while playing one more game than the Chicago Bears did, who won 4 games this season. It's my favorite thing. It's my favorite thing. Look at him in here. Look at Jack Frost in here. You're happy your bum franchise finally got a coordinator. You're still trash and get swept every single year. I love it, Jack Frost. And guess what? Play one more game than we did. Look at Jimmy Hoffa just trying to be in the mix, just trying to say something. Hey, you figure out when your quarterback's going to stop throwing interceptions. That is one thing that y'all have in common. That is one thing that you guys share. Your quarterbacks both can't stop throwing interceptions. That must be fun for you. How's that going for you? It's my favorite thing in the world. Seeing the turn and knowing that you can take more from them, knowing that you can take more from their souls. Because I'm going to tell you this right now, if Hank Fraley comes along with Ben Johnson, there's a lot of people from what I'm hearing that are in that Lions organization that's a nightmare scenario for them. That's a nightmare scenario. That's the situation in which, okay, this is getting a little bit outlandish. Not only are we losing our OC and our DC, but also we're losing some of our major position coaches here, guys that we thought we were going to bring up. When you hear things like that, and he's talked about very strongly in NFL circles, he's talked about very strongly around, of course, being a name that's attached to Ben Johnson, but also just the name of what he has done for that Detroit Lions team. It is very cool to hear that you would be able to get somebody like that added to this staff because of bringing in Ben Johnson. You saw him today. You saw him in the building up here at Hallis Hall. He was excited to be here, looked very happy to be here, looked like he was ready to get to work. In fact, the first thing he says as he walks in the building is, all right, everybody get back to work. Love that. Absolutely love that. And yeah, he's playing the game. He knows what he's doing. He's got the family at Hallis, but for a young coach to say that we have a young coach that to me is going to get a heck of a lot of opportunity when you look at the potential coaching staff that may end up getting built here. Yeah, I'm feeling good right now. I'm feeling good. Again, you don't know what it's going to end up being. You don't know who's going to end up being, who's going to end up being successful, who's not. You don't know if this is going to work. I've said that. I'm going into this thing cautiously optimistic. But when you hear about some of the staff or the potential coaching staff, I should say, that the Bears possibly are trying to put together. When your top 4 guys are Ben Johnson, the possibility of Hank Fraley as your OC, your DC could be Dennis Allen, your special teams coach could be Darren Rizzi. Are you surprised? Are you excited? Because that is a heck of a coaching staff. And the thing that gets me the most excited about it, outside of maybe Hank Fraley, but realistically, Ben Johnson is building that side of the ball. So it would be whatever Ben Johnson's guys he wants to bring in as quarterbacks coach, whoever he wants to bring in as the O-line coach, right? Guys like that. But you've got guys who know how to build staffs out on this team. You're trying to build a star-studded staff. You're trying to build the best staff that money can buy. That is a change for the Chicago Bears. That is something ridiculously different that this Bears team does not do. That's a mindset change. That's a philosophy change. We talked about it today. This may be the biggest day that Kevin Warren has had as the Chicago Bears GM. This may be the biggest day that the Bears have had as a Chicago Bears GM. Or, I'm sorry, as president of football operations. Googly Bear 00 with the $5 super chat. Appreciate that. He said, now the Bears need to get Montgomery back and bring in Gibbs, LOL. Now, that'd be wild. Now, I will say this. Did y'all see the Montgomery post where it was his picture, like looking at Ben Johnson with like a Bears uniform on? It was like, just like watching Ben there. I don't know what it meant. But I was like, hey, Monty, we always got love for you here in Chicago, brother. We always got love for you here in Chicago.